So let's have a look at the trend setup in some real charts. Before you, this is the Eurodollar 30-minute time frame. This is my favorite time frame for intraday trading. So let's get to it. In here, you can see a strong uptrend. So what you do is you use the flexible volume profile over the whole trend area to search for the significant volume clusters. First significant volume cluster is in here, and when the price was moving, it was actually looking like this. All right, so this was an uptrend, this was significant volume cluster, and this was the level to go long from. So you wait for pullback. In here you enter long. All right, then what happens next is that there was another volume cluster created, this one, and this one was a very nice one, because not only this was a significant volume cluster, but also, as you can see, it was strong resistance in the past, and when the price went past it, the resistance then became a support. So what you do is you wait for a pullback to make it back to the level, and you go long from there. Unfortunately, there was strong macro news. There was FOMC meeting, those candles. This is FOMC rate decision. So you definitely don't want to trade during such strong news. So no trade there, but if there was no news, it would be a very nice trade to take. And I'm sure that it would be a winner. So what's next is this strong buying activity, this strong uptrend, this one, and there are actually two volume clusters in here, this one and this one. Both have basically the same strength. As you can see, the maximum volumes are basically the same. As you can see, the price went past them, so if you took any of those, it would be a losing trade. This setup didn't really work at this time. So let's move forward. Alright, so what happens next is this strong downtrend. So I'll use the profile to look into the volumes inside this downtrend. And the volumes show that the heaviest volumes are in here. The heaviest volumes in this volume cluster are in here, which means that you draw a line there and wait for pullback. When the price hits it, you go short. Alright, nice reaction to the level. The next day there was an uptrend, so let's have a look at how the volumes were distributed there. First, when the price was developing this way, there was this volume cluster, heaviest volumes being in here. Nice reaction to the volumes. So this would be a first trade based on the trend setup. And then as the day was developing, there was very strong volume cluster created in here with the heaviest volumes right there. As you can see, there was another nice reaction to the level. Now let's move the profile over this selling activity right there. This one. And the most significant volume cluster in here was this volume cluster. Heaviest volumes being in here, this being the reaction. Pretty strong one, right? Now let's move forward. And there was strong buying activity in here, so let's use the profile to see how the volumes were distributed in this area. Right there, the heaviest volumes in this volume cluster were in here. As you can see, that was a reaction, but it came a little bit sooner, so the level got missed. And as I said in the previous videos, I'm not trading second tests, so I would have discarded the level. I wouldn't trade it when the price actually hit it and tested it for a second time. Alright, so there would be no trade from there. The price reacted a bit sooner to the level. Now, maybe you've noticed another volume cluster inside the trend. It is this one. So as the price was progressing upwards, this volume cluster got created. So the level to go long from would be in here. But there's one rule for those setups, and the rule says that there needs to be some sort of price action or rotation above the level before the level is active. And what I need to see is like 2 or 3 30-minute candles above the level. So if the level is created, if volume cluster is created, then the price goes upwards and immediately afterwards downwards, then I don't trade it. What I want to see is a level created, then some price action above it, like 2 or 3 30-minute candles, which means that the higher prices get accepted, that the market sees this as a fair value, and afterwards, when the price tests the level, then it's ready to go. But if there's a level and the price goes upwards and immediately afterwards downwards, then this is sort of rejection of higher prices immediately after a level got formed, and you don't really want to trade such a level. Alright? So in this case, I wouldn't have taken this trade, alright? Because it was just strong rejection of higher prices and the price turned. So there would be no trade from this level. So let's move forward and look for some strong trend, which I see right there. This one. And in here we have several significant volume clusters. The first one from the bottom is this one, the strongest one. A very nice reaction to it. By the way, this level was also strong support in the past. As you can see, in this general area the price reacted to the level. It was not exactly to the level, but it was few pips above it, and I count that as a confluence. Alright, so the first volume cluster would be a winner. Then there was this one. So let's have a look how it would go. My take profit for such intraday trades on the euro is 10 pips. So the level would be 1366.6. Alright, so it would be also a profit. This would also be over 10 pips. It was around 12 pips movement. So this would also be a winner. Then I wouldn't really trade this small thing, especially because there's no rotation in here. The price didn't really stop there. So the next one to consider is this one, with heaviest volumes being in here. Also a winner. And the next one would be this one. Pretty heavy volumes in here, looks like a strong level. But as you can see, this one didn't really work. There wasn't really any reaction to it, so this one would be a loser. You know, funny thing is that sometimes the best looking levels just don't really work, and the not so good looking levels work like a charm. Take for example this one compared to this one. Alright, this one isn't that strong as this one, but still the reaction to it was precise, fast and really nice. And the reaction to this one, there was almost no reaction. Alright, so it's not always the best looking levels that end up being winners. So let's have a look for some new trends. In here, this is a nice looking trend, this one. The first volume cluster is this one, as the day was starting in here. So by the time the profile would look like this, alright? And there would be a long from this volume cluster. Very nice reaction. A very nice way to catch a trend and participate on it. Then, as the day was progressing, there was this volume cluster, and the heaviest volumes were in here. If you look carefully, then the price turned a little bit before the level, maybe 1 or 2/10 of a pip, which is a shame, but this would have been a missed trade. Then there was this volume cluster. It's not really clear which volume was higher, so maybe if we zoom the profile a bit, it will be clearer. Alright, so it seems that this volume cluster is stronger. This is the reaction to the level. By the way, it seems that also there was a reaction to the higher volume cluster. This reaction. Let me check if it was a 10 pip reaction. Yeah, it was. Exactly 10 pip reaction. So this one would also be a profitable trade if you had tight spreads. Then, as the day was progressing, there was another volume cluster in here. So this would be the long level. But this time the price turned a little bit sooner and made the reaction. So this level would be discarded because the price turned around 1.5 pip or 2 pips before the level and made a reaction. So there would be no trade from this level. Alright? So as you can see, when there is a trended day like this, there can be a lot of levels to trade from. And you always want to trade all of them. All the significant volume clusters. Now let's move forward. And there was a strong buying activity, a strong trend in here. So let's again select the whole trend area with a profile. So in here, the heaviest volumes were right there at this level. The heaviest volumes from this whole area, from this big volume cluster. At this level, very nice reaction to it. Then, as the day was progressing, there was another volume cluster in here. Heaviest volumes being in here, so it would be a long from there, and also very nice profit, very nice reaction. Alright, so the next big volume cluster was in here, with heaviest volumes being in here. So let's draw a line there. It seems that the level was tested. This test right there. Let me check. So the price turned 2 pips earlier and made a 9 pip reaction. As I said, I'm going for 10 pips. So if it was 1 pip more, it would be a full profit target if the level was a little bit lower. So in real trading, I probably wouldn't have taken such a trade. I would have discarded it. If you prefer trading with simple limit orders, and if you took the trade, then let me see if this was 10 pip reaction. But I think it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was only 9 pip. So it was only 9 pip reaction to the level. So this one would be a losing trade. Now there was a strong trend in here. So let's move the profile over trend. Volume cluster being in here. So the level would be right there. It got tested a little bit sooner. There was actually the support becoming resistance setup in here. Strong support because the price was bouncing off the level. Then when the price went past the level, it became a resistance and the price reacted to it. So the price reacted to those rejections and it didn't quite reach the volume cluster, but this general area is already tested. The level is tested there was a strong reaction, so there's no reason for taking the level again. So the last example on the euro will be this strong uptrend. So let's move the profile over the whole trend to see how the volumes were distributed. Let's make it like this so we can see more into detail. As you can see, there are several significant volume clusters in the uptrend. So let's have a look at them one by one, alright? So let's draw a line on every significant volume cluster in this uptrend. Let's start from bottom. The first one will be in here. The second one will be in here. Now another one would be in here. This is the place where the volumes were the heaviest. And under normal circumstances, I probably wouldn't trade this volume cluster because the price didn't really stop there, only for a little while, but then it moved upwards. What I like to see is little rotation, like for example this one. But the reason I would have taken this trade is this confirmation. Resistance becoming support setup. When there's confirmation like this, you can be more aggressive. Alright, so even though there wasn't sideways price action in here, like in this case, there was very strong confirmation setup of this level. So that's why I would have taken such a trade. Alright, and the next significant volume cluster is this one. This is where the rotation begins, but at the time when the trend was going upwards, we didn't really know that, right? So next level would be in here. So let's now have a look at the reactions to the levels. The reaction to the highest level in here. So this one would be a winner. Now let's have a look at the second line, this one. This is the reaction to it. Very nice one, very precise one. Now, the reaction to the third line is in here, also very precise reaction, not that big, but a little bit over 10 pips, so it would be a profitable trade. And the reaction to the last level, now this is already nice. So all those levels would be winners. All those significant volume clusters. Now maybe I didn't really make it clear. The reason I wasn't really commenting on this one is the price just went past it. The price didn't really stop there and there is no confirmation in here, so I wouldn't really take this one. Alright, all the others were quite fine to take. Alright, so that's for the examples on the euro. And for those who are trading futures, for those who prefer futures, let's now have a look at the ES, which is futures for Standard & Poor's index, and let's have a look at the same setup and let's have a look at how it performs there. So this is the ES chart, 30-minute time frame. Again, we'll be going through the trend setups. So in here, nicely visible trend, heaviest volume cluster, very nicely visible in here. Also, what I like about this is that this was a resistance level. The price reacted aggressively to it, and when the price went past it, it became a support. So this is the confirmation I was talking about. Volume cluster plus resistance becoming support setup. This is the reaction to it. Very nice one. Another trend was in here, but as you can see there was opening gap, so all the levels would get invalidated by the gap, so there would be no trade from there. So let's move forwards. There was a buying activity in here, so let's have a look at the profile. Alright, so the heaviest volumes in here. Now it would depend on your stop loss. Maybe it would be a losing trade. I think probably for most people it would. If your stop loss held, then the price was rotating below the level and then it would reach a profit. Alright, so there was a reaction to volume cluster. Unfortunately, the price shot past it with spike move. It's at the break of the day, so it's possible that this was just sort of gap. So probably most people wouldn't even be able to take this trade because it was during the night rollover. So the next day there was another strong trend, strong downtrend. So let's use the flexible profile over the whole trend area to see where the volumes were the heaviest. Alright, so this is nice volume cluster in here with heaviest volumes right there. Very nice reaction to it. So let's move forward. And let's have a look at the volumes and how they were distributed in here. So in here there are three places to go short from. First one in here, there isn't really a price rotation, so it would be a risky trade, but there's the confirmation, support becoming resistance. As you can see, there was a strong buying activity, the price just went past the level, so it would be a losing trade. The next one, next volume cluster, in here. Also, the strong buyers who rejected lower prices and pushed the price aggressively upwards would also go past this significant volume cluster. So this would be also a losing trade. And the next one is this one, and this would depend on your stop loss. If your stop loss held this, then it would be a winning trade. Alright, so this was the third volume cluster to trade on that day. Not really good trading day in my opinion, as the setup didn't really work. But when you are trading, you need to be aware that there's not a strategy that would have 100% winning ratio, so there will always be some losers. So next strong downtrend is in here. And the first volume cluster was right there. I think that the reaction came a little bit sooner. Yeah, it did. Just a little bit. So the level was tested. No trade there. And the second one was in here with heaviest volumes right there. And this would be a winner. First the price went a bit past the level, but then it turned downwards. The next day there was a strong uptrend, so let's have a look at the volumes. At first it was this strong volume cluster, and this was the reaction to it. A very nice place to jump into the uptrend right there. Then let's have a look at this part of the day. There was this volume cluster with heaviest volumes in here, and this one would actually depend on your trading style. Either you discard the level because of this reaction, or it would be a losing trade because the price went past it and hit your stop loss, or if you held it and your stop loss was wide enough, then it would be a winning trade. But still, there wasn't a precise reaction to the level, so it didn't really work that well, this one. Then another one, another significant volume cluster was in here with a nice buying reaction. Alright, so that's for the trend setup on the ES. As you can see, it works pretty nicely also in here, as on the euro or other forex pairs or other trading instruments. Alright, let me show you one more. This is a really nice one. It's a really nice confirmation of the level in here. This volume cluster right there and this reaction. What I like about it is this is what caught my eye. Support becoming resistance. Alright, this is the level. You can see how precisely it worked. Price reacting to the level very aggressively, very strongly. Then it creates a very nice volume cluster within a little rotation inside a strong downtrend. Alright, this is really a nice looking trade. I would say sort of ideal trade. Alright, so this was the trend setup. A setup which I like to use on a daily basis, along with the volume accumulation setup. It's one of my most favorite setups, so you definitely want to go over charts and practice this setup and put it into use. Alright, so that's for the video. I'll see you in the next one, where I'll cover another trading setup.